What's up YouTube, the Right Guy here with another review video, and boy does this one hurt. Today I will be reviewing Hellblade 2, the Senua Saga. Damn man, the first one, love the first one. It was damn near perfect. And I'm a little sad even doing this video right now. So if you've seen my other review videos, you already know how the categories work. But if you're new here, I have 4 different categories that I judge games on: story, campaign, graphics, gameplay and performance, and replayability. Warning, there are going to be spoilers ahead. Where do I even start with this? Okay, so without my personal biases completely taking effect here, the story was very meh, for me at least. It never captured me, unlike the first one, and I'm not sure exactly why that was. This game's story didn't capture me until the last 2 hours. And at that point, the game had already been going on for 4 hours already at that point. So for me personally, the game was only engaging the last third of the game, and that's no bueno. Well, the second Blade actually introduces other characters. Unlike the first one, they felt very unimportant and not very utilized at all. Well, I did by the end of the game actually start to remember 2 of the 3 side characters' names, and actually started to get into them as characters. The game was over. Hell, even now I can remember 2 of those characters. You have Fargrimmer and Thorgester. And for the life of me, I cannot remember the chick that we team up with later at the end without Googling her name. Astrider? I think that's the correct way of pronouncing that. I can't even remember a single boss's name. And I use the term boss very loosely. Well, let's say you're trying to find one thing to say good about the story, I just can't seem to find one thing. And unfortunately for that, I'm giving the story a 4.7. What can I say? I'm actually really excited to talk about this category. This game looks absolutely beautiful. It is definitely the industry's new benchmark when it comes to ultra realistic looking graphics. It is definitely going to be the top in the realism category. All the cinematics were absolutely beautiful. They gave me Beowulf vibes, or a modern Rise Son of Rome for the Xbox One. It definitely shows off the next gen of the Unreal Engine and what it's going to be capable of when it comes to the hyper realism, which has me extremely excited. The other beautiful graphic feat for me in this game was the background graphics. The world that the game was set in was absolutely gorgeous. There was a scene in the game where you walk past a puddle and the reflection of the whole landscape is in that puddle, and it looked so good. They made it look really, really, really good. Now, I will say I was playing this at 1440p, and I bet it even looks even better in 4K, and I can only imagine. But with that being said, there are some things that I have to point out, and it could just be my setup and my graphic settings at the time of playing this game. There was not one single sharp edge to be found in the graphics. You would see the scene playing out and you could see the lines, but where there should be sharp lines, it was just fuzzy, and it messed with me a little bit. It wasn't so bad that I just couldn't look at it, obviously. So with all that, I'm giving the graphics a solid 9.3. I believe the game's replayability is very important into what it makes a game great. For me personally, I will probably not play through this game again, as there's not much reason to play it again, other than to collect remaining lore stones and lore trees. The game does allow you to play as the 3 other characters, but other than that, there's no extra areas, nothing, no side missions to complete, nothing like that. As far as I'm concerned, there's nothing else to the game. So with that, there's no real draw pulling me into a second gameplay. And for that, I'm giving the replayability a 3, in all honesty. At this point, I feel like I am just shitting on this game at this point. So like many other categories, this just falls short, at least for me. Pretty subjective as it may be my setup, but I don't think it was. Maybe it wasn't strong enough to run it at 1440p, but I'm not sure. This game was an absolute nightmare trying to play this game. Anytime I would go from like gameplay to a cutscene while recording, I would drop down to like 1 to 3 FPS. And no matter how many times I would mess with it, like in the graphic settings, I could never get it to where it wasn't hitting that VRAM like threshold. And I'm running a 3060 Ti, and I feel like I should have been able to play this game, but maybe not. For example, I was having to restart missions over just to capture them for the gameplay. The story itself was maybe 6 hours, and I logged in a total of 25.5 hours from having to restart missions over because the FPS drop in a cutscene would drop so bad that I would have to restart the mission just to capture that cutscene again. It was an absolute nightmare. Not much to say about the gameplay as it is very basic. It was very much a one-path cinematic gameplay type of game, I guess, which I've played that once on a Wii, and it was a Resident Evil game and was not a big fan. So for that, I'm giving this category a 3.7. So with all that, my average score for Hellblade 2 is a 5.1. And honestly, I feel like that's extremely generous, as like 5.1 would be like an average game. And I feel like this game falls extremely short of being anywhere close to average. I would call this game like a 4.3, 4.7 at most, but I will stick with that 5.1 for our list in later days. Look, I love the franchise and the atmosphere of both games, but ultimately the second one, it fell extremely short of my expectations. To be fair, this game did drop on Game Pass, and if I had to pay for this game, I would be asking for a refund. The only saving grace, in my opinion, is that it was free on Game Pass. I loved the first Hellblade and was hopeful they would build off that first one and improve it, but it seemed like we took steps back as far as gameplay is concerned. I was hopeful with a newfound fan base and Microsoft's funding that they would go all out on this one. Instead, we got a very monopath game, and it was a drastic hit to the combat system. Drastic. Like in the first one, you would fight a character and you could swap between characters and fight both of them. In this one, you got one character you could fight at that specific time until the cinematics of fighting that character ran out. Then it would move on to the next one. It was one choice. That was all you had in this game. There was you couldn't mess this game up. I honestly don't think I need to go into more detail on why I don't like this game, but I am honestly still blown away by it graphically, and it gets me extremely excited to future hyper realistic looking games. So that I am excited for. But anyway, thanks for watching, and tell me whether you agree or disagree with my Hellblade 2 review, and tell me what games I should play in the future. And I do apologize for this review being extremely delayed from when my Let's Play ended. Let's be honest, this was a tough one to write a review about. I really like this game and I didn't want to shit on it. Sorry, let me take that back. I really like this franchise and didn't want to shit on them, but that would mean me not being honest. And I'm not going to not be honest when it comes to games. I am tired of wasting our time and our money on these developers that are giving us trash. But anyway, peace, love, happiness. I'll catch you next time.